Hey, 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 welcome back to How She Owns It. I am here with the very fabulous Angie Hawkins, who is in Hawaii, nonetheless. I'm sure it's sunnier there than where it is where I am in the UK. It's absolutely bucketing it down with rain.
It's
Um,
actually raining here
is
today.
it? I don't feel
Yeah.
bad, but I'm sure you get more sun than we do.
Yeah, I mean, this is unusual. I woke up this morning and I was like, "Oh, it's raining." And I mean, it's probably going to be sunny later. Actually, it's a little bit sunnier today, or like right now, than it
It
was earlier. So it'll be fine.
It looks bright anyway. But for anybody tuning in and watching, Angie is an inner glow coach. She's an author and a speaker. And rather than me share anything else, Angie, and get anything wrong, I would love to just hand across to you for you to introduce yourself, tell everybody what you're all about, what you do.
So I am Angie. I am an inner glow coach. I help women transform from chasing love and approval to radiating internal confidence and internal validation so they can finally feel happy, free, and loved for who they are. I am also the author of Running in Slippers. It's a very raw and vulnerable memoir. And the reason I wrote it is because I feel like we tend to hide behind filters and edits on social media and social mask in real life, and we're not talking about the shitty things that happen to us because life is hard and we're not talking about it. So the entire goal of the book is to encourage connection through vulnerability.
I love that. And I would love to know, I'm not sure anybody watching this maybe has the same question. I hope they do, but I'd love to, where did the whole inner glow coach come from? Where is that stemmed?
um well, do you want the short version or the long version?
Whichever you share, whichever one you feel best.
So the longer version, because it was a long road to get to where I am now. So my origin story obviously starts in my childhood. I was raised in a home. The best way to describe it is both of my parents were very emotionally unavailable. So as an adult, I understand what that means. But as a child, you just don't have that knowledge or resources. So, very early on in life, I developed this belief that I didn't deserve to be loved. And as you're probably aware, your beliefs dictate your behaviors, and that dictates what you experience in life. So, needless to say, I struggled for a very long time because I always had to chase my parents' love and approval. So I was always chasing everybody else's love and approval. I was the straight A student, and if I didn't get an A, I would have an emotional breakdown. I was always the overachiever at work, and it was like I was always chasing for these things outside of myself, and it's exhausting, and I didn't feel happy and fulfilled. I was very aware of that, but I didn't even feel that happiness and fulfillment were something that were available to me because it was that whole unworthiness wound, because it's like I don't even deserve to feel happy and fulfilled. This is just how life is. So I felt very helpless in my circumstances. I didn't feel like I had a lot of agency over my life. And the first turning point came in 2017. My boyfriend broke up with me, and then shortly thereafter, my dad passed away. And I was 37 at the time, and I had spent 37 years running away from my feelings and suppressing them and doing everything I could not to feel them. And with all of that grief, it was impossible not to feel my feelings. So I was forced to feel all this stuff, but I didn't have the tools for emotional regulation. So I basically just felt like shit for the better part of that year. And then the year turned over to 2018, and I finally, for like one of the first times in my life, I was like, I want to make some changes in my life. I want to at least try to be happier. So I was living in Chicago at the time, and I decided that I wanted to move to Hawaii, which was well intentioned in the sense that I was actively trying to do things to be happy, and I was actually taking agency over my life. But it wasn't well intentioned in that I was still looking for something outside of myself to be the thing that made me feel better. So you can't move away from your problems. I moved here. I still had the same issues. And not only that, I developed a whole new roster of problems. So, for example, this was 2018. So it was before remote work was the trendy thing to do. but my job very fortunately allowed me to move here and keep my job. But as soon as I moved here, there was a huge management shakeup at work that threatened my role. So the first year that I lived here, I lived in constant fear of losing my job because, again, I was putting the safety and security in something outside of myself. I also had a really hard time making friends, which was something I had not experienced in Chicago. So it was very lonely and isolating, especially being thousands of miles away from anyone I knew. And then the other major thing that happened when I moved here is to prove like how all in and committed I was to my decision. I bought a condo immediately, and a month after I closed on my condo, a shared pipe in the building backflowed into my bathroom sink, and I wasn't home, so my entire condo flooded. So, and then the next 2.5 years was just like thing after thing. Like my grandma died, like it was always something. But because I was seeking happiness and things outside of myself, and everything outside of myself was unraveling, my internal world started to unravel. I mean, it was already in the process of unraveling, but it got a lot worse. And then COVID happened, so I don't think I have to explain how that made it worse. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was the end of a relationship during COVID. And, I think we all have these experiences in life because I feel like when it rains, it pours, right? So we all have these experiences of like, oh, I can't take this anymore. I can't handle anymore. So I was definitely feeling that. But on top of that was just the sheer hopelessness because nothing had been going well. And I truly could not see any hope for the future, which was such a dangerous place to be. So I intentionally overdosed on my anxiety medication, and I spent a day and a half unconscious in my bathroom. I spent another day and a half in the hospital, and I was released from the hospital. I came home and called a friend. I told her everything that happened, and I ended with, I can't believe I didn't die. And her response was, it's not your time. And that was so profound and honestly exactly what I needed to hear because I was kind of at this crossroads because I felt worse than I did before I took the pills, and I like still didn't want to be alive. But then she said that, and I was like, I think she's right. And I think I have a purpose. So the shorter version of the rest of the story is that's how the book came about because I wrote and published the book. And then I was still working in corporate America, and it just wasn't aligned with who I was. And I realized I was like, there's other women who are struggling the way I used to struggle. So I want to help them. So that's how Inner Glow Coaching was born.
I just love the whole premise of it, like in a glow. I think I was just really attracted to it. I was like, oh, no, I've never seen anybody describe them as that before. You hear of business coaches, all sorts of different niches and things like that, but I've never seen anybody described as an inner glow coach. And I just thought when I read everything that you shared with me before we booked our call and
Yeah.
conversation, I just thought that is such a good just
Yeah.
just such a good fit for what you're trying to do and the message that you're trying to share. And I think everything that you've just shared, and thank you for sharing everything that you've just shared. My gosh, what a journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know if it's an original term. When I very first started, I called myself a self-love coach, and I was like, that's just so boring. And I didn't feel like it was because my coaching program is called Shine from the Inside because it's based on this concept that we're all born with this light inside of us. Because you see little kids, they're running around, they're screaming, and that's why kids are so funny because they'll just say anything because they don't care about what other people think. But then as you go along life, family systems or society tells you what you should or should not be. And we start conforming to these things outside of ourselves that dims our light. And when I first started loving myself, because I had to go through, as you can imagine, a really huge healing transformation. And because I came from rock bottom, it did take a little bit longer than it probably takes most people. But I will never forget when I truly first started loving myself, it was like this warm feeling in my chest. And
Mm.
it's like it lit me up. And not only that, people around me would always be like, oh, you're glowing. It's like they could see it. So I'm like, So that's how, and again, I don't know if it's an original term. I would like to think I made it up. There might be other inner glow coaches out there, but I felt like that embodied more of what I'm actually trying to do.
I think everything that you've shared, everything that I've read, it's a perfect fit. And I think if you, whether it is original, I mean, I've not seen anybody else yet called it, but I just think it's such a good fit for what you have been through, the transformation that you've been through, and the message that you're trying to share and what you're trying to help other women with. And I think if we all glowed that little bit brighter, even just a little bit brighter, like what a world that would be. So I just love your whole
Yeah.
everything about it. Yeah, I just love.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because and it's not just like the primary benefit is feeling that sense of happiness and fulfillment in yourself, but it's also this ripple effect because when you're glowing, people like I'm living proof. People can tell when you're glowing, and I can just tell because even if they're just saying like, "Oh, you're glowing," they're feeling the energy. Like those are just words. It's the energy that they're feeling. So you're inspiring other people to glow, and I'm woo woo. So and there's a lot going on in this world right now. So I'm of the mindset like you're either contributing to the anger and fear propaganda and everything that's going on right now, or you're contributing to raising the vibration of the universe. And there are a lot of shitty things going on in the world right now. And at an individual level, there's not much you can do physically, but raising your vibration and shining your light really does go a long way to raise the vibration of the universe. Even though, it's like picking up litter, like picking up a few pieces or like even one bag full of litter. It doesn't seem like much, but it is helping.
And I think sometimes we do it without even realizing the impact that's having as well. I feel like there's that invisible impact that we can have that starts by us doing the work on ourselves, intentionally choosing to be who we are, and then
Yeah.
showing up as that version of ourselves. And if you're online, even face to face with people, but intentionally showing up as who you are, we invisibly give people sort of like, feel like it's a tap on the shoulder that's like, you can do it too. And when they see us doing it, then they're like, okay, if Angie can do it, if Julie can do it, I'm gonna be weird, goofy. I'm going to own who I am. I'm going to swear a bit
Yeah.
more. I'm going to be who I am. And then it ripples out and ripples out and ripples out and ripples out. And before we know it, there are more people that are shining brighter because they are
Yeah.
just being themselves, which as a byproduct means that we shine brighter.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's why I love what you're doing because I feel like sometimes people look at me and they think like, "Oh, she's confident all the time or she was born confident or this or that." But as you've just heard, like I had a really rough path to get here and so do a lot of other people. So my message is like if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think during the times that we're tested, we really find out what capacity we have to hold everything. And I think sometimes the best things that we can do is ask for help if we feel
Yeah.
able to do that, or start to work on ourselves as well. And then by working on ourselves, our capacity gets greater because we're not squashing things down or internalizing things. We're actually choosing to work through and actually feel our feelings and figure out
Yeah.
why we're feeling that way. And then we process things and we move forward a lot quicker.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's so much easier that way, right? But I lived so much of my life like stuffing down and repressing my feelings. And then I had chronic anxiety all the time and I was like, why do I feel like shit all the time? And now that I actually learned emotional regulation and the most important component piece of that for me was learning to feel safe in my body while I'm feeling unpleasant feelings. Because if you can master that, then you can get through your feelings a lot quicker and more efficiently and move on. And that has completely changed my life. But now I look back and I'm like, this is so much easier. Why wasn't I just doing this before?
Well, if we knew how to do the things, we would have been like flying when we were like five,
Yeah.
weren't we? Literally. I can totally relate to that. And I've been somebody that has been the person that would keep in the things in that I really felt or wanted to say because I didn't want to upset other people.
Yeah.
Would rather do that perhaps than have an argument with somebody or have conflict because I didn't still really don't like conflict, but now I understand that sometimes it is necessary. But
Yeah.
I had a coach that explained it in a way that had never landed the way that she explained it, but since she did, it just stuck. And she said, Julie, feelings are emotions. They are feelings in motion. They're meant to move. So
Yeah.
by squashing them down, we're not moving them. And if you're not feeling them, then you're not able to process them and move them through your body and actually move them out and on. And I just like that has always just stuck with me, even when it's really, really hard and it's very,
Yeah.
very difficult. Just having the awareness that at some point you do have to feel the things and work through it because then that's going to lead to a better place, even though it might feel super shitty as you're doing it.
Yeah. I actually like that explanation because again, I'm woo woo. So I like think in terms of energy because it is energy and energy doesn't go away. So if you don't feel it,
Yeah.
that energy stays with you. So that's what happened to me when my dad died because I had spent years like repressing all my feelings. And because I was in such profound grief, I literally could not repress my feelings and all of these things were coming up and I didn't know how to handle it. So I'm of the mindset now, I would rather, force myself to feel my feelings and intentionally feel them than have them come up at a time I don't want them to later. Because you do have a choice. You can choose to process your own feelings, or if you don't, they will come up later because it is stored energy.
Yeah. I've got another coach as well who views like emotions and feelings, and she's got this method and this teaching where she calls it emotional economics. So I work in financial
Mm.
services, corporate during the day,
Yeah,
and
I
I
used
run
to work in finance.
yeah. I run a financial services practice, so we clients are investing in the stock market, and I understand how all that works. And the way she described it is you can have an emotional portfolio, which could look like an investment portfolio. So with an investment
Mm.
portfolio, you invest in different stocks and each one gets different results. And but as a whole, they are the things that are helping your money grow or helping you managing your investments. So she has this concept where you get to do that with your emotions. So you can choose though what allocation you give to different feelings. So it doesn't mean you don't have to feel sad or you don't feel the grief or whatever angry or whatever feelings it is. You can still have those, but maybe some days you decide I'm going to give 5% to sadness today, or 50% to grief, and 20% to excitement, and whatever the others until you get to the 100%. But you get to intentionally choose what allocation you are giving to your different feelings. And because I think, because I work in finance and I have done for so long in the financial services industry, and I understand the stock market and how that works and portfolios, that also made so much sense. And it's helped me sort of move forward because last year was a year of tremendous grief. We lost my mum, my husband's mum,
Mm.
and my dog within the
Oh,
space.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, of six
Even one of
months.
those things would have been a lot.
But similarly to yourself, you can choose to try and repress it all or try and carry it and work with it and process it. But I think you can carry those feelings and still be successful and still smash a business or promote in your career. You just get to take these things along for the ride and not deny that they're there or, try and push them aside. They can come along for the ride, but we get to
Yeah.
manage them as we're feeling them. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. And I don't know if it's because I have a finance background as well, but I wish I would have heard this a long time ago
Yeah.
because in my healing journey, one thing that I struggled with that I have now overcome that, but now I see a lot of the women that I work with, they struggle with this too, is letting one emotion like dominate everything because it's like yeah you can feel happy, grateful or whatever and also feel sad, angry or grief. Like it's possible to feel more than one thing, at the same time. So I love this allocation theory because it's like you're just changing the percentages because your grief doesn't have to take away from your happiness. And I feel like that's how we look at it. It's all or nothing. If I feel sad, if I feel this unpleasant emotion, then it's taking away from my joy.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my coach is called Joanna Garcia, and sorry,
Okay.
Juliana Garcia, Joanna. I don't know why I said that. I'll share her this theory with you after we've finished
Okay.
the conversation because I think you'll love it. Just based on everything that you've shared, and you've so open, and you've got such a lovely energy, and like it does feel warm, even though we're chatting through a screen. Would you say that your journey and the experiences that you've had have shaped the way that you lead?
Absolutely. Because I get asked all the time, like, would you change anything about your past? Or if you could go back and tell your younger self something, I wouldn't change anything because yes, it's absolutely shaped me and it's put me in a position to help other people as well. So yeah, and I think that's maybe that's the point of life. I'm still trying to figure out like the purpose of life, but it's like what's the point of going through these hard things? Like yes, part of it was giving myself a better life, but then there's things beyond that because I can also share this information and knowledge. So, it's
Definitely.
absolutely gotten me to where I am now.
And what would you say self-leadership means to you?
Self leadership is having that internally sourced validation and that glow from the inside because, especially with social media, like there's all these voices outside of us that tell us what we should be doing, what we should not be doing. And another part of my healing journey and that I work with my women is also developing a strong sense of intuition, which like cuz that's like the highest form of self-trust because your intuition is you. You just need to plug into it. But when you have that foundation, like anything else, you can just filter through your discernment and it's such an empowering place to be.
I was just going to ask you how you stay rooted in who you are during the messy and uncertain times, and I feel like you probably already knew that question was coming, so
Yeah,
kind of
and
just
just to
touched
be
on it.
clear, because I feel like sometimes I talk and I'm like, yeah, I don't give a crap about what anyone thinks, but that doesn't mean I don't get pulled into things outside of myself. Because I've gotten negative comments on social media. As a matter of fact, I was this just last week. It was recently. I posted something on TikTok and someone made a comment about my sun damage, and I I'm not gonna lie, it stung for a second, but then I was like, "Wait, I surf every day. I live in Hawaii. I'm 45 years old. Like, yeah, I have wrinkles, and you know what? Surfing brings me so much joy that matters more to me than what my skin looks like." So, I do have moments that trust me, like it happens probably daily and more than once where I do get pulled in these external directions, but when you have your strong internal source, it's so easy to be like, because my next immediate step is when I like, feel the punch in the stomach. It's like, wait a minute, like,
Yeah.
why do I care what they think? Or, you have that immediate like discernment switch that turns on. And it's because sometimes you do need feedback. So maybe if they were giving me advice on what sunscreen to wear when surfing or something, maybe it would be like, I'll look into this brand or something. So like there is discernment that you have to use. It's not that you like never care what anyone thinks, but it's not, yeah, being invested in it and letting that control your reality.
I love that. And something I'd written down that I loved that you'd shared that I wanted to share was and I'm quoting you here, it's about being real, resilient, and rooted in your own glow. And I feel like that's what you've just described there.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you have that glow, and it's hard to describe because it is an energetic feeling, but that like glow is your source of energy and that's what's rooting you down. So you can always redirect to that. Even if I'm having a bad day, it's like I can feel that it's there.
Yeah. And the people that are making these comments have clearly got not a lot better things to do.
Yeah.
And
Because it's like,
sorry, go on.
yeah, like what kind of person like just goes on the internet and says stuff like that?
They'd be better served spending time working on themselves than telling you that, you've got sun damage, but
Well,
it's
and that's why, because my overall message, and I know this is overly simplified, but it's focus on yourself. Because, yeah, we can spend so much time like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Just, it doesn't matter because you will never change anyone outside of yourself. So, are you happy with who you are? Are you living in integrity? Do you love yourself? Just focus on yourself and you won't even be worried about anyone else.
Yeah. So that's a great segue actually into something else I wanted to ask you, which is how do you want other women, or sorry, what do you want other women to know about owning it? So truly owning who they are.
Well, first on that, I feel like a lot of women, because I was in this position myself, we lose our identities. Because you had alluded, you didn't use this word, but you alluded earlier to people pleasing
Yeah.
because you're like giving to all these things outside of yourself. You don't want to upset other people. So then you have to like mold into this personality that isn't even yours. So, first of all, the first step is like finding who you really are, because I think so many of us like, and that goes, it's welcoming yourself back home and finding that light, you know, getting reconnected to that light is the first step. But also, and again, because I was in this position, even if I had this information before, I felt like happiness and fulfillment was something that wasn't even available to me. So, one thing that I always like to tell women or give this message is, first of all, happiness and fulfillment is absolutely available to you. And if you are alive on this earth right now, you are worthy of having it. And again, like, I am living experience of this because I used to be in a place where I didn't feel happy and fulfilled and I didn't even think it was available to me. But now I understand that that is not the truth. So if you are not feeling happy and fulfilled, it is available. And the first step is figuring out like who you really are if you are that disconnected from your true identity.
I love that. I love that. I know we've got such a similar message and it's been
Yeah.
very, very similar with I've had several conversations now with lots of brilliant women because we've all got this common theme, this common want, this common desire to actually help other women and men, really, if we
Yeah.
really think about it, to be able to just truly embrace who they are, show up from that place knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect and that actually you can do whatever the fuck you want in life when you are rooted in who you are and you trust
Yeah.
yourself and you lead yourself from that place. Because I think you can't always wait around for someone to cheer you on or champion you or
Yeah.
hand
Because
you
they won't.
something or come and save you, because that's not happening, is it? We've got to go first.
Yeah. And I honestly, and I get the fear because again, I used to be that person, but now I'm at the place when I see well, to your point, it's not like gender related. I do feel men and women have different experiences, but when I see a woman just like doing something totally like quirky or like off the beaten path, I love it because it's like, for a fact how much courage that takes, and because she knows that it's like against the grain of society and she's probably going to get criticized, but she does not care. I love that so much.
Yeah, she doesn't give a fuck, does she? And that's good.
Yeah.
Well, she probably does, but she's turned up her inner cheerleader voice and
Yeah.
pushed down the other one and just thought, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to do it. And probably there is a sense that I'm doing this and I know that it's going to inspire other women or help them to feel that they can do this as well,
Yeah.
perhaps without even realizing.
And also, like, now that I'm like reflecting on what that feels like to view it, it feels very free and liberating. But also, for anyone listening, that's what it feels like to experience that as well. So, like, that feeling of like free, like, that's something I didn't feel when I was like living life for other people or not living life authentic to myself. So, it's like that true, like, free feeling is so amazing. And I think that's like what we're drawn to when we see women like that.
Yeah, I think on the flip side, though, it can be triggering for some people to see women
Yeah.
doing things, but that doesn't necessarily have to be a negative either, because it may trigger something. But actually, when you take a deeper look at it, it could be because you want to be, you wish you could do that. You wish you could be that one doing the things that she's doing. And what you should know is if it is triggering something and you're thinking, oh, like it's kind of boils down to I wish I could do it almost. Well, you should know that you can. That
Yeah,
is available to you, like you say, it is available to you.
And I think that's behind a lot of criticism, right? Because going back to that TikTok comment, I mentioned it to a friend, and this didn't even occur to me, but this is the first thing she said. She was like, "They're probably jealous you live in Hawaii." And I was like, "Ah, that makes sense."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, oh, and that's another good point. And this is, I don't want to say it's the dark side of healing or shining your light. And I don't like to say this usually because I don't want to turn people off from shining their light, but when you shine your light brighter, it does trigger a lot of people. I've actually lost friends. I'm estranged from my mom. That's actually the story of how I quit corporate America, because I was being bullied by my manager. You absolutely trigger people, but all of those things, even though they felt negative in the moment, they put me on the path that I'm on now. So
Yeah.
that is like a not so
Yeah.
happy side of healing and shining your light.
It absolutely can be. And it's just really the way I look at that as well sometimes is when we're growing and we're developing, some of the people that we're in the world with are not. And so they see us growing and developing. And part of it is they're like, oh, don't do that. You might get laughed at. You might get
Yeah.
troubled. You might fail. You might fall flat on your face. So sometimes it's helpful to look at it from the perspective of the not everybody, because there are people that do not feel like this, but they're trying to keep us safe. And so
Yeah.
they feel like if we step out of that bubble, we're going to be hurt, we're going to be harmed. Not
Yeah.
everybody's feelings are that way. They're just like, oh, look at her, look at what she's doing. She's got too big for her boots and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But maybe what we need to do is send them some sunglasses because then when they see us, right, they're going to just put the sunglasses on and you'll be like, enjoy.
We should partner with a sunglass company.
Let's do it. A rainbow one. That'd be really
Yeah.
cool with flashing lights. So I've absolutely loved this conversation, Angie. Honestly, it's like it has left me
Likewise.
feeling like really warm and really like fun and sort of bubbly. I know we've touched on quite a lot of vulnerability and you've shared so much as well. It doesn't feel heavy though, like, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's you and the way that you've shared it. It feels don't know what the word is, but I just wanted to share with you that it doesn't I feel like a heavy thing with the things that you've shared, even though they're super traumatic.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, because I don't want people to like pick up on any of my past heaviness.
Yeah, no. So if people have loved this conversation as much as I have, and they're like, where can I go and get more of Angie? Where are you hanging out and where can they come and find you?
The best place is my website. It is runninginslippers.com. It has my social media handles. Running in Slippers is also the name of my book. So there's information on my book. It's available on paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. And I am the narrator of the audiobook. I know people like that. So if that matters to you, there's that. And then there's also information on my coaching program. My current program, like I said, is called Shine from the Inside. And I do offer a free 60-minute find your glow session. We will work on whatever you're struggling with within the 60 minutes. Most people do have breakthroughs on this call. And even if it's not a good fit, because my coaching is not for everybody, I am not for everybody, not everybody, because I don't work with people with super deep trauma or like certain things that I don't have experience in. So not everybody's a good fit for me. I'm not a good fit for anyone. And so if it's not a good fit, I do have other resources. I know other coaches, I know therapists. My point is the entire goal of this call is to have this breakthrough and then get you the help that you need to find your glow again.
Perfect. That feels like a really nice place to leave it. I'm so excited to just like follow you and just like experience you being in your inner glow as well. Because I've loved the conversation so much. So for anybody that is watching, I have put all of the links in the show notes so you can go and find Angie, go and check her out, go and take advantage of everything that she shared. Thank you so much for joining us, Angie. Honestly, love.
Thank you. I love this conversation.
Yeah, thanks to everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.